Welcome to Working Dogs and Whiskey. Join Sean White and Jonathan Moses as they pour a glass and dive into insightful and fun conversations about dogs in all their incredible roles. So grab your favorite drink and let's raise a glass to great stories, laughs, and a whole lot of dog talk.
All right, welcome back to another episode of Working Dogs and Whiskey. I'm Sean White, and I'm sitting here with my friend, co-host Jonathan Moses. How are you, sir?
Chilling, man. Chilling. Tired. A lot going on.
Yeah, per usual.
Yeah.
All right. Without any further ado, we'll just get right into it because you got to be up in a few hours to go save the world and
Something
or the
like that.
community.
You got to go protect the country, man.
We'll see. No, but so we'll just pick up from where we left off on last episode. We were talking about dogs that we can't train or we couldn't train. So also before we finish or before we even start, I do want to clarify something because I did have somebody ask me about the dog that I spoke about last, which was Joker. I don't know if he went special forces or what actually ended up happening with him. They spoke to me about it. I have no idea as a potential candidate, I guess, but I have no confirmation. I'm not claiming that I trained a special forces dog. None of that shit is in my, my realm of training. So I didn't have anything to do with that. So wherever he ended up going, he went somewhere, and they were considering him for that. So want to clarify that. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, obviously you don't listen to the episode. So just go back to episode 29.
Yeah, listen to part 1.
Yeah, to part 1.
If you know, you know.
If you know, you know. That's the young people would say. I think that's what y'all are saying. I don't know, dude.
Yeah, that's what's going around right now.
The 6'7" thing,
dude, I don't. Please don't. I can't. My little brother.
Yeah. But anyways, all right. So I think we were ping-ponging back and forth about dogs we couldn't train. I know I have at least one more that I can speak on, and I think it's on.
All right, so I got 2 in an honorable mention. One is one you're familiar with. He's actually in a crate in this room right now because I'm the only person that can board him because he's such a special dog is the best way to say it. Little cockapoo named Amitaba. So, and I know you remember Amitaba very well. I'll see if I can find the clip of him in the kennel losing his shit. Amitaba is just an unfortunate combination of genetic issues and victim of his environment. Now, he lives in a great home. This lady could not take any better care of this dog. And luckily, she's given him every chance to succeed. But he is a fear biter who has bad resource guarding issues, who is just kind of unpredictable, and then got a ton of energy, but also very anxious and does not do well with any kind of change. The smallest change in the house could set him off. So naturally, he had bitten his owner multiple times. He'd bitten other people. He was drawing blood. And I don't mean like a quick snap. Sometimes he would bite her because he was afraid, and that his first instinct was to bite when he became fearful. Sometimes he would resource guard the room, the area, the bed, a bone, and he would come at her, literally bite her and keep coming forward and trying to get at her. Really the worst combination of genetics I think you'd give a dog. He's like an Amish puppy mill dog. It's rough. I remember when we got him, me and you looked at him and I remember going to you and I was like, hey man, I'm trying a lot of things I know how to do and none of this is working. Whether it was counter conditioning, positive reinforcement, pressure, nothing was working. This dog was so adamant on just, he would, oh my gosh, it was crazy because he'd switch between states of I'm afraid, I'm going to try and fuck you up with intent, and he'd shut down and then he'd be really excited. And it was like a bipolar, just crazy combination of drives and genetics. It was absolutely terrible. Probably one of the hardest dog I've had trained to date. I've got him on the couldn't train list. Well, it took about 12 weeks, something me and his owner had heavily considered. This dog traveled to Ohio to Travis's with us. We were putting in crazy reps with him.
Yeah.
especially while we were there, because we could stay up all night and just brainstorm and try stuff. Like he was getting, we went from one extreme to another trying to get things that would work. And me and his owner had the hard conversation about possibly doing behavioral euthanasia. And that's kind of where I want to touch on a little bit with him. Now, obviously, he's still here. Like I said, he's in the room, he's in the crate, he's quiet. He's actually pretty manageable now, but there's a couple caveats that come with where we're at today. So it was so bad we talked about behavioral euthanasia because I didn't know what to do. I'd reached out to several other trainers, tried a bunch of different methods. Ultimately, we found a couple of things that worked. We taught some very firm behaviors and place and some of the reactivity, like what to do when you're stressed and showing clear signs of stress. That his owner could pick up on it easier, creating some distance when he was stressed. I had her get a treatment train, and she set up a whole room in her house where when he felt stress, he would leave and go to that room, and she could use the treatment train or the e-collar to push him to the room or reward him when he got there without having to go into his space because he's weird about spatial pressure. So there was a lot going on with him. And ultimately what happened was management. It just came down to management. We either euthanized him because he was an extremely difficult case, or we had to come up with the best system to manage this dog. That's what we did. Like, she's put in a ton of work. He is significantly better. Every once in a while, she'll send him, like, I think he's been with me for about 4 or 5 weeks now. So she sends him back and forth to my place, and we try and make sure he's used to my routine and her routine. Now, he technically was a success story. It didn't really feel like a win on my part at the time. But with a year of continued training, weekly meetups, I mean, I talked to her probably 2-3 times a week for the last year and a half. That's how dedicated she had to be to continue the training. But it didn't feel like a win up front, which is why it felt like a dog that I couldn't train. We accomplished some tasks. He could do behaviors, but I didn't feel like I necessarily reached the end goal when he went home. He just went home with some tools and a plan. And luckily, through like a lot of effort, you can't even really call it luck, it did work out. But it doesn't always work out for everybody. Sometimes it's not practical. You don't have the means. You don't know who can take that dog. Behavioral euthanasia is best in certain circumstances sometimes. So that was one that, even though it worked out now, at the time I felt really defeated about it when he left and went home.
Yeah, I remember how he came in, and like it was the first time I'd seen such a small dog with such big emotions about him.
Yeah.
And I was just like, dude, he actually means this. And like, I mean, in some ways it's kind of comical because he is, 20-pound dog or something like that, if that. But it's like, dude, he's actually gonna hurt you at the same time. Like, it's super dangerous.
Yeah.
And it's weird that you wouldn't think such a little dog could do that. But I mean, like, I remember the first time we were trying to get him out, just to get him from the inside kennel outdoor, to break him and everything else, and break him in the definition of like letting him use the bathroom and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But I distinctly remember that he was just like, I mean, he was just not feeling it. And the triggers were so subtle that I think that's what made training him extremely difficult. And it's like, dude, we can't even reduce this down to like, all right, if it's just an environment thing, like, can we put him in a place where he can actually digest like the environment and actually sit and assess everything?
Yeah.
And so his triggers were super minute. And I remember you would send me videos. I mean, we FaceTimed, we did all types of things looking. And I mean, I would stay up late just playing in slow-mo, trying to figure out what provoked what. And I mean, yeah, I think you and I were both at a loss. And like, even when you were talking to outside trainers, they were just like, yeah, sometimes it's just the breed, the genetic combinations just doesn't support, the lifestyle and stuff like that. And it's just one of those things that you cannot particularly train out of him. But one of the things that you brought up, and I know we touched on it last episode, was regarding this, but I think that's a common theme with these types of dogs where they're not as predictable, is creating a predictable means of communication. So like what you said, going back into the beginning, it's like, dude, we don't know what it is that, he's like, what is it, Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde or whatever, he just like morphs. And like sometimes he'd be super cool, and that's what got me. I'm like, dude, I don't understand that. But anyways, giving him some type of way to communicate with the human end of the leash, like saying, hey, I'm not feeling good for my dog Joker. I taught him to sit. For Amitaba, I believe you taught him to either go to his place at some point, or, some way to show that like, dude, I I don't know what it is, or we don't know what it is, but he's about to have an episode potentially. And
Yeah.
I think honestly, that's probably his saving grace is when we're just not, I'll call it what it is. We just weren't as skilled as maybe somebody else who would have taken the situation, had some more experiences in that realm or that department. But I think that's one of the biggest things is installing a way for the dog to communicate with you. If you can't identify a trigger, then we need to know that at least something is happening besides the obvious, explosion where he's just on your arm or on your ankle, whatever he was.
Yeah. He was the first dog to bite me. I've gone like almost 2 years since I've been bit by a dog. Like I luckily dodged and I was like, cool, I'm good. You remember that month I had maybe 6 behavioral cases over 120 pounds?
Oh,
And
yeah.
like,
Yeah.
dude, I was so stressed every day I went in there. None of those dogs bit me. Amitaba fucking got me. I was like, that.
It
I
was
was
the
like,
one.
no. I was gonna lie and tell people it was one of the other dogs, as he came at the tail end of those 6 dogs. I was like, just tell him it was a big dog. I can't lose my pride to this cockapoo like this.
But though, I mean, I don't know, that he was a force to be reckoned with. I mean, even taking him to Ohio was just like, oh my gosh, like he is
Yeah, just getting him in and
relentless.
out of kennel or like touching him.
Yeah.
Even today, like he'll come up and get on me, and like he gives me some very clear signs of communication that he's uncomfortable. But every once in a while, he'll just look and he's like, "Don't fuck with me, don't touch me," and I'm like, "Cool, dude. Like, I'm not gonna push the agenda. Like, we're good. If I need to compel you to do something, I can. But I'm not gonna go out of my way to make him uncomfortable with certain things." Again, it ended up being more management. I think he actually, right before I got him, he bit his owner again. He like nipped her. First time he'd done it since I had him. He nipped her on the arm or something like that. And the first time he attacked her, I remember she was really shook up. Like, she's in her 70s. He was coming at her. She fell on the ground. And he's just coming and coming and coming. And he's drawing blood. She's bleeding everywhere. And now, like, he goes to nip at her and she, like, smacks him in the nose. She's like, shut the fuck up. And she's like, she feels more confident in the situation because she can read him and communicate, and she has a means to compel him to do what she wants. So their relationship is actually a lot better. She's a lot more confident for it. I feel better touching him because there's a point where I was like, fuck that. Like, glove up. I think I bought some welding gloves when I used to go get him out the kennel.
Yeah. I mean, that's smart in general. Yeah, one of the things that I did want to touch on and having a lapse in memory is the fact that, like, you brought up a good point of, like, that type of dog where there are rules, but you don't abuse your authority in this situation, if that makes sense. So,
Yeah.
like, yeah, we could compel him and kind of go for this tit for tat battle, but you kind of choose your battles wisely with him. And so, and like, I think we were talking about it earlier in the week when I was talking about my son, Sean. Like my parenting style, I don't have a lot of rules, but like the few rules that I have, I mean. And, he understands I will enforce those few rules. But outside of that, he lives, with me, a pretty relaxed life. It's just as long as you follow these strict guidelines. And
Yep.
of course, we're going to lose all the moms or whatever comparing children to dogs. But like, but that's what I see with like dogs like Amitaba. It's like, dude, once you get the rules set, like they need to be few, and like these, whatever, 4 or 5 rules need to be very, very supportive of the lifestyle that the dog's going to be in and like a daily routine. And then, like you said, outside of it, it's like little things like the warning signs. Like some people I know, they're really strong-willed with these type of dogs. So like a dog growls at them or something like that, and they're not going to bite. They're just like, dude, I don't like what you're doing. And they get whatever you want to call it, alpha or whatever that shit is. Yeah, so they want to insert their dominance, I guess, over the dog. And it's like, dude, that's not the time. Like you're escalating instead of, like you said, it just goes to ego. It's like, I don't want to admit that this little cockapoodle or whatever is punking me. And it's not it. It's like, dude, just be respectful. God.
Oh, man. That reminds me, I gotta send you a picture when we're done doing this. I meant to send it to you like 2 weeks ago. I forgot till just now.
Okay.
Offline
topic.
Yeah, offline.
Okay. Yeah.
But no, man, you're exactly right. Like, there's no point in, if you have too many rules that the dog can't predict or follow what's going on, it doesn't have a proper outlet, it's constantly got to be on edge. Like you said, I'd rather have a couple hard, fast rules. You follow these, I will give you time and a place to have an outlet. And you give me some warning signs and you distance yourself, and we're good. And that is as good as it gets for him. But I think a lot of people shy away from recommending behavioral euthanasia. And it was something me and his mom, like, I mean, if he hadn't turned it around, he must have heard me talking about it. Like, because within the 3 or 4 days that we were really considering it, we were looking at where we could take him. I finally saw some progress in the right direction. I said, hold on, we're seeing progress and I want to wait. But sometimes it's for the best. Like, it's an uncomfortable conversation to have, but not every dog is safe. I've got a cousin right now. She reached out. I think her case, the dog could have the right home. Gorgeous Rottweiler that I trained, some dog reactivity / borderline dog aggression. Very strong female dog. She can be around other dogs out in public, like in passing. Her obedience is phenomenal. She cannot be trusted with new dogs. Even dogs that she's familiar with, I would never leave her alone with them. And she's attacked 2 or 3 dogs now. Now, the situation is my cousin lives in downtown Boston. So heavy traffic, very dog friendly area. And her dog's super well behaved, like on leash, off leash, sticks close to her, listens to her, all the trick training in the world, all the obedience in the world. The problem is when you have people around you whose dogs aren't that well behaved, and now they're jumping over a dog that's trying its best to refrain from attacking other dogs. People got them on a 30-foot flexi and they're jumping on top of the dog. Mind you, this dog's 4 years old, maybe. This is happening every day, multiple times a day, and it's bitten 3 dogs. And more so, like, back up off me, give me my space, right? I think one of them she actually went after when she first got back from training. And she was still kind of figuring out how to be preventative instead of reactive when it came to corrections and rewarding. But it's one of those things that she asked me about behavioral euthanasia. And I was like, honestly, I don't think this dog needs it, because she is friendly. She lives with cats. She can live with other dogs if she's introduced properly. I think the environment is just a bad fit for her. There's just too much going on there. So don't be afraid to have that conversation, but also don't just jump straight to, yeah, let's just put her down. But you have to take some things into consideration. What would you say what traits would you see in a dog that you go, hey, this dog's a candidate to be euthanized?
So mine's a little bit skewed because the majority of pet dogs that I've seen, obviously you were with me for most of it. So I haven't really seen any, on the pet side of things, I haven't seen a dog yet where I'm like, all right, this dog needs to be put down. Like, there's just no helping it. As it relates to like the working dog community, yeah, I've seen 3 maybe where there was just nothing we could do. Like, it's just too much of a risk. And that would have been either putting it in another department and things like that. Like, there were just, the severity, I will say, would be kind of what would kind of prompt it for me to consider it. Because no matter what, like, if it can be, not no matter what, that's too much of an extreme, but if a dog can be, if it's willing to hurt multiple people and put them in the hospital, and I'm speaking on past experience, and it's just consistent across the board, like this dog is putting people in the hospital in dangerous situations, then it's kind of like, all right, we can't even reliably do the rehabilitation that it would take, because, I'm going to be I'm going to be out for weeks at a time just trying to work with this animal. And then outside of that, I would have to say maybe intensity. And if there's just ultimately like no predictability, and I think that's kind of where Amitaba was, where it was just too unpredictable, and it was like, dude, we can't even tell you like when it's going to happen, so you can kind of get ahead of it or get in front of it. And really the biggest thing that probably saved him was that he was so small that, yes, he was doing damage, but it was not as significant. So it goes back to the severity situation, right? So it's not as severe. So yes, it sucks tremendously, and like you probably have to go to a hospital, but you can go back and pull him the next day. You're just a little injured, but with some punctures. But that's probably really what, outside of the communication and things that we already talked about, that really saved them. So for me, I would have to say that if it's too unpredictable, and I have multiple people telling me that, like, trainers that I trust, like, no, this dog is not safe. Like, we can't even pinpoint it down to something where we can predict it, then,
it's time to start that conversation.
Exactly. Yeah.
You said exactly what I was thinking. I think my 2 factors are teeth on skin, and one's unpredictable. If I can't predict when it's coming, that is a huge problem. If I can't find a clear trigger, no. That is going to open that door up every time, and especially if you've got the intent to hurt and put teeth on people.
Yeah, but it's unfortunate because I feel like a lot of dogs on the other end of the spectrum, like playing devil's advocate, a lot of them get prematurely diagnosed and put either at best maybe medicated, and then at worst, obviously they get euthanized. And actually, to be honest, I don't know which one is worse than the other, them living as a zombie, not really living in their full potential, and they have no control of it, there's no inability, they just keep ingesting medication, and it's like, it's kind of hard to say. I don't know what a dog actually feels under those circumstances. And then, or, obviously their livelihood, but something is, for the example that you just used, it's like an environment change. Like maybe your specific lifestyle is not suitable for the dog. That doesn't justify, putting the dog down. That just means you have to do your due diligence to find a better home for the dog.
Yeah, that's definitely a big one. All right, next dog you couldn't get trained. Well, I want to hear this one.
No, you were there for that one. Lucy, my sweet girl, my friend.
Well,
Yeah. So
Lucy.
Yeah. All right. So Lucy falls under the pet dog side. I do have an honorable mention. It's kind of not worth it, maybe, but on the working dog side. But for the pet dog side, what would you say Lucy was? She was kind of a mix of your
Well, secret sauce in there.
maybe some shepherd somewhere in there, and
there's probably some of that in there.
Yeah, I don't know. The shoe is like a mix of different things. So obviously, you know the story, but like when we brought her or when her mom brought her into the facility. So I have a bad habit of like, I'm not good at really reading like pet dogs in certain circumstances. So the lady brings Lucy in. I'm looking at her. She kind of looks a little skittish, but I'm like, whatever. And then I'm trying to be nice and like loosen her up. And she comes up to me and I'm like, oh, okay. And I start patting her and her mom's just going off of like why she's bringing her in for training and everything. She's like, yeah, she's done some fear biting, but only at home and stuff. And meanwhile, I'm just doing my thing, just petting her. And I'm like, oh, it's okay. And she seems pretty good. And then her tail starts wagging a little bit, and I'm interpreting it as like, oh, she's happy, and all that stuff. So anyways, fast forward, she gives her whole spiel. She walks out, and then I turn around, and John's looking at me. I'm like, what's wrong with you? And he was like, man, he was like, that was awfully bold of you. And I was like, what are you talking about? And he's like, I thought I was about to fuck you out, dude. She was thinking about biting you. He's like, she was ready to get out of that situation. Like, I've never seen you so close to a dog that was going to bite you. He was like, you just seem real confident. I was like, brother, I had no idea what was going on. I totally misread that whole thing.
Dude, she was well lying and looking around all crazy. That tail started going and she was panting. I was like, oh, God.
Yeah.
Mom's like, yeah, she's already bitten a few people. She doesn't do well with change or loud noises. And I was like, oh, God.
Yeah, dude. And to put some more context behind it, like, because it's not like we're in a private space, like you're in a, open setting. John's trying to be accommodating to her and like trying to side-eye me like, move, like get out of here.
Away from my dog.
Yeah, I'm just still patting her and stuff, having a great time.
I thought you picked up on it because at one point her mom like stepped closer to talk to me so she didn't have to yell. Yeah. And the dog came up and sniffed me and eyes got big and it looked unsure. And I just kind of rolled back in my chair and I was like, and I'm going to sit over here. I was like, absolutely not.
Nope. Way over my head, dude. She was a cute dog though. She was cute. It's just like, yeah. I felt bad for her. I was probably in a good mood. Who knows?
Oh, Lucy.
Yeah. So, anyways, we go through training. So she has like everything you just mentioned. She's not good with change. So I think she did a boarding for like a day or two or something. Yeah, because you recommended it, and I was like, that's different. And you're like, yeah, let her board here and get used to like coming in and out and everything before we do the full-on boarding train. Excuse me. So makes sense. Now we get into training. So I'm like, all right, we're going to take our time with it. We do little walks with her, make sure she's okay. She kind of understands the environment. Then I start doing feeding and all that's going smooth. I mean, as smooth as for a skittish dog, like she's accepting food. I'm doing clicker trainings, starting to pick up on it. The conditioning starting to settle in, et cetera, et cetera. We keep going. And then, so then I started teaching her. We started layering in aversives. So I use a prong collar. I'm starting to teach her how to sit. Not too bad. The down, a little shabby, but was able to recover once she figured out that she could beat the pressure and come out with food and everything and pets and all the good stuff. So she's looking pretty well at that point. And then, God, and then the e-collar came in, and that's where. So I paused there because I'm trying to remember exactly where it went south. Like, I think we were doing something simple like place training, something that she was pretty familiar with. I
Yeah.
had a lot of cues installed, and I was like, this should be pretty good or pretty easy. And she wasn't even on. She was maybe on like a level 2 or 3 on a mini educator. Yeah, and so I'm using it and just giving her like taps until she gets to the bed and stuff like that, like, and providing her with leash pressure to help her. And she was okay. And then I think I went for 1 rep without the pressure, and I just tapped her to go into it or something of that nature. And she just started melting, and it was just like it just went south from there. And that was an interesting one. Like, what was your perception before we take off on that?
So I think I missed the initial e-collar introduction because I remember you came and got me. And you said, "Hey man, I really need you to come look at this." And you'd said something like, you'd ask me, like, we ask each other to look at dogs all the time. I'm like, "Oh yeah, cool. Like, I'm sure you're killing it." And you're like, "No, come look at this one." And I was like, "Oh God, like, what's up?" I think what we ended up saying was we should have spent a little bit more time. She was fluid with the pressure. I think just relationship building and things like that, what we ended up saying it came down to. But she was just a very fragile dog when it came to pressure. Was she the one that had some e-collar exposure prior to coming to training? Like she'd been hit with it on high, like just to deter her from rushing the door? Was that her? Or was that another
I don't
dog?
want to misspeak, but it sounds vaguely familiar.
Yeah, I know it was one of the dogs we trained that had some issues coming in with e-collar. Might have been her. It was something we didn't predict. Like we didn't.
Yeah, I think it. I could be misspeaking, and I'll apologize later if I find out that I'm incorrect. But I do know she was a door, like she would rush the door. And I think either she had purchased an e-collar or was going to use it, or and who knows what actually happened. But
yeah,
and that's a valid point too.
I thought her mom had said something about using it to hit her and she was still going and it didn't work. Granted, that happens a lot with pet owners. Please don't do that. Please. That's not the best answer. I want to say that might have been her, but there was just some stuff we didn't take into account. I think we said we'd go back. We spend more time relationship building, having some trust, getting her a little bit more settled into things. Because her obedience looked great on leash. Like I remember watching, I was like, "Oh yeah, that's clean."
Yeah.
And I want to say she had some prior issues with the e-collar. And as we added it, I mean, dude, it was rough. Like, melt is an understatement. She did not take to it at all. She went to go shut down, trying to layer it over the leash pressure. And I think because of the lack of relationship is what we ended up saying, that it kind of tainted the behaviors that were there. It tainted a lot of behaviors that you had already worked on and that were looking really good. And then she just kind of started falling off for a little bit. But I remember we were like, all right, look, we just got to see this through. We have to use pressure. We got to get the repetitions. And she has to get on the other side of this thing. Now, what I will say, I think you might have already been gone at this point or you were training some kids or something. She came out consistently for probably like 6 or 7 training nights and was out there faithfully while we were doing bite work and the other pet dogs were around as distraction. And I remember like the first 1 or 2 times Lucy was pretty stressed, getting up off the bed, doing what Lucy does, and then going back down. And by like week 6 or 7, she looked like a different dog. Like she'd lay down on the bed, she was stretched out, she was relaxed. But again, her mom put in the work. Like her owner followed through, took every chance she could to get that extra repetition and put her in uncomfortable situations that were manageable. And Lucy was a lot better for it. So you did pull that one through, but it was some rough seas getting there, man.
No, it was a close call. And I want to go back into it and like kind of dissect a little bit because I mean we'll call it what it was. Like it was pain compliance at the end of it. It was like, dude, you have an understanding of how to get through this, how to manipulate the situation. And I know at one point it was like for the heel or something with the e-collar that it was just like a giant hurdle for getting her through the other side of that. And so what I want to kind of highlight and specify is that when we're talking about like in terms of pressure, like I think Pat Stewart probably said it best, and I don't know where he got it from. So I try to pay homage to people that say good things about training modalities. But like an e-collar can only motivate you. It can't give you a sense of direction, right? So I think we were in a phase where we were I was able to still give her leash pressure as like direction, but it was so conflicting to her to feel the sensation of the e-collar that she was just like trying to shut down and like and I'm not going to drag her across the room on a prong collar. And so I want to say I did have to turn it up to a pretty significant level, like 20 or 30 or something, and enough to get her to move, not even come into the heel, but it's like, dude, the answer is not to shut down, right? Yeah. And so eventually she got up and she like came towards me. Obviously pressure came off. The leash finished the rest of the task, and it didn't look pretty at all. And that's what I'm getting at is in that session and in that moment, it was not a pretty scene.
No.
I'll admit, but it's one of those things that, like you said, if you're going to do that and you're going to go that route, the best thing you can do for the dog is see them through in some capacity, whether we're approximating behaviors into what's going to be the full behavioral chain, or we're going to go for the full thing, whatever that may look like, but allowing them to just continue to melt like that and do almost the polar opposite of what you intended or what training is meant to be, it's just doubling down, because now the likelihood of you're going to have to escalate in terms of pressure. You're essentially, if you thought, what situation you were in, if you shut that pressure off and allow them to be educated and, okay, I can avoid it doing this, good luck when either you're going to give up, you're going to abandon ship, or you're going to do some things that you would not want to do to a dog. To kind of somewhat counter condition or, to get that out of them. But I do remember with her, because just training her, every day I was just like, for like probably 2 weeks, I was just like, dude, this is crazy. Like I think I even stopped and I was like, at one point I was like, should we just call it? And I remember that's when you told me, like, no, trust me, if she was nowhere near like any glimmers of hope, then you're like, no, we would have already nixed it. Like she would have been home by now. But you're like, this is going to be groundbreaking for her once she gets completely fluid with it. And it's just now boiled down to consistency, and that, hey, it's going to happen. You have a way to get out of it.
Yeah.
And she did really well. And I think her mom ended up sending me videos of like her staying on place while people came in and out of the house, ringing doorbells, like cued her to go to the bed and stuff like that. And one thing I do pride myself, and I asked her one day, is how many times she's actually using the e-collar and things like that. Because she did come back for like refresher training. But she was like, yeah, towards the end of it, she was like, yeah, I don't really use it that much. Maybe, to put her back on the bed every once in a while. But outside of that, she's living a pretty good life.
Yeah, that's a good one, man. At least he was interesting. Like I said, that was not a pretty case at all. That was a tough one. That was pressure on, and you got to move. Pressure is going to motivate, because you have to make something happen.
Yeah, and I do want to clarify something too, because that is not the route. That was not to resolve like fear biting. Like, oh, we're just going to use pressure and that'll teach her not to bite people. That is something completely different. And from what I remember about her, I don't think she was at the point where she was actively biting, or she had bit somebody. But
I thought she got somebody that came in the house or something.
Yeah. But it was giving her alternative behaviors. Like we weren't just staging her and like setting her up to people walking around her and then just zapping her or anything like that. It was like, hey, you have this alternative behavior that you can do. Nobody's going to mess with you here. And that was like her safe space, is being on place or being somewhere. I think she ended up making it her couch or something that suited her lifestyle. But like, hey, if somebody comes over, you go to this couch and you're good. And that's it. And that was the kind of the end of that. But yeah, that was one that kind of got me. I think that was the first dog where I was like, oh my God, dude, we should just terminate this whole thing. Like, not put her down, but like, we should just stop this. But a few days of distress and with gradual signs or incremental signs of progress each session definitely did her. I mean, it's granting her a lifelong, sense of
freedom.
peace. Yeah, freedom. Actually, yeah, that is true.
Yeah, yes, yeah. She, like I said, she looked really good the last time I saw her, so that was nice to see.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
I want to know about
now,
this mystery dog.
I'll give you the mystery dog first, and I got an honorable mention. So I am with dog names. I can't tell you this dog's name. Cannot, absolutely cannot remember this dog's name. So it was when we first opened up the facility. At the time, I didn't have set board and trains. So what I would tell people is you had a highly motivated dog, and I'd say, hey, come back in 2 weeks, I'll have it off leash. Or if it was, motherfucker, hey, come back in 30 days and you'll have a on leash, fully trained on leash dog, right? So it was just it was when I was playing with the idea of custom board and train plans, where the dog dictated the days, right? Or you told me how many days you had, and I tell you what I could get done, kind of thing, right? It's not a good business model. It doesn't work. Don't waste your time on it. We had this couple come in. They were in Beaufort for a week. They brought in a German Shepherd. He was like a dusty, gray, kind of sandy colored German Shepherd. Dog walked in, got so scared trying to walk him into the kennel in the back that he shit on the floor, started freaking out, and started just, when I say shut down, I mean you could have picked him up and put him in the middle of your floor and told people it was a wolfskin rug. Complete shutdown. Never seen a dog go just that immobile. Xander. That was that dog's name. Xander.
Sounds like a great dog.
I was like, what the fuck? Literally, I was like, all right. So I brought a 4x4 kennel up to the front. And I was like, all right, going in the back ain't going to work, not with 5 days. So put him up front. The dog didn't move for almost 24 hours. He just stayed in that position, in that kennel. I literally carried him and put him in there. He just complete shutdown. I mean, turned into a freaking rock. And I was like, what the fuck? So he kind of stayed like that. You couldn't get him out to use it. He would not go pee. He would not go poop. He wouldn't eat. He would not drink. Complete shutdown. So I'm doing everything I can to get this dog to do anything. Mind you, I've got 5 days. Day 3 rolls around. All this effort and work that I put in, the most progress I made was he sniffed the food. He sniffed the food and he moved. He actually showed some interest and walked towards me. And I was like, what's today? I was like, fuck, it's 4 days in. I called him and I was like, hey, because they were just in town. I think it was a Marine graduation or visiting family, something like that. And I was like, hey, look, this isn't enough time for me to train this dog. Can he be trained? Probably. Would it take 30 to 60 days? Definitely. I said, this isn't a 5-day dog, and I'm sorry, here's your money back. Dude, that was the first dog that I could not train. Because I offer a satisfaction guarantee. You will be happy with the training guaranteed. I couldn't do anything. I was like, fuck, I gotta get money back. I gotta give these people their money back.
And I'm just looking, that's how the business started.
I was like, fuck. I was like, no way. I was like, damn, how do I just couldn't do anything about it, man. He was complete and total shutdown, just a bag of nerves. And it sucked for me. I'm like, damn, 700 dogs in, I got to put one in the loss column. I was like, fuck. That was a blow to my ego more than anything. The dog was fine. They weren't mad. They're like, hey, look, we understand that he's just not doing anything. And it was a tough one, man, but timelines matter. That's why we got a whole freaking episode on it. I could not make something happen, which had probably been going on for years. I couldn't correct it in 5 days. I could not. I just started to see the very first minute steps of, I may not be a total fucking rock.
Oh,
and it was day 4.
Holy hell. Yeah.
Yeah. And I was like, fuck. But yeah, that was the dog I had to put in the loss column. You know how I feel about refunds. I'll keep the dog an extra month to get what you want done. I'll extend that time out, but refunds?
Yeah,
I give the deposit back. Damn, I was like, sorry, I can't do anything with this dog.
Did they know that he was like that?
Yeah, no, I called him. I'm like, hey, this is what's going on. And they were familiar. They knew what his nerves were like. That's part of the problem. I guess he'd run off and get scared and then bark and kind of blow up. But if he was too scared, apparently he turned into a fucking rock.
Yeah, I'm scared. So none of that going.
Yeah, I was like, what the hell? But it was rough, man. That is truly the dog that I could not train. That is the one that got away.
Selfishly speaking, I'm glad that happened before I met you. Because if I showed up and I'm like, these are the type of dogs you're getting, and this is what you're promising, I'm out. Like, I can't be a part of it.
I was on a roll too. Like I was flying through dogs. I was getting like off leash dogs done in like 2-3 weeks, sending them home. Parents were happy. They're going downtown. So I'm like, dude, I was feeling it. I was like, yep, brand new facility in town, killing it. Like hot shot training. That dog humbled me so bad. Dude, humbled the shit out of me. I was like, fuck.
Yeah. No, and I think that's probably the other part too, because like I get afraid of that. Like even doing boarding trains now, like I mean that's why I panic all the time. I call you and I'm like, dude, what about this? And you're like, are you still worried about that? Like, because I think for me, I mean, yeah, the different again. I want to emphasize like it's a different situation. Like I don't feed my son off of dogs that I train right now. So the money, yeah, I mean, sure, that would suck. But like, I really genuinely like feel bad for like the people because they believe in you and they're taking a lot of risk. And, by going with you, and especially like for me right now, I'm not doing a whole like strong advertisement and all that stuff. So it's, the things that or the work that I get is like through word of mouth and things like that. Very minimal advertisement.
Expectation.
Yeah. And like some people are suffering, like they really need you to pull through on this. And I think that's what kind of worries me about doing pet dogs. It's like you tell somebody like, yeah, it's going to work out. It's going to be great. And then all of a sudden, they're, like you said, they're a rock. Or like, I'm thinking about that moment with Lucy where I'm like, oh boy, this isn't supposed to happen. Yeah. So I think that's probably the biggest part that worries me. Because I mean, even failing dogs for like in a working dog capacity, outside of some exceptions, generally speaking, they're either going to go to another department that's suitable for what they need done, or they're going to they'll get trained to be a pet dog, essentially, like kind of water him down a little bit and like, hey, it's sure he'll chase the ball and play and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But like more of like just a pet dog. So there's not too much. Yeah, there's not too much to lose on that. But yeah.
Honorable mention I'll throw in there. I had a friend hit me up recently. He had to move in with her parents. One of Lilia's friends had to move in with her parents for a little bit while she was waiting to get her stuff together to get her own space. And she had to be there for a few months. And she actually called me the night before we shot part 1 of this series. And she asked me, she said, hey, my dog, I'd trained the dog, I had done some stuff with it and watched it and taught it some tricks. Little dog named Friday. It's like a little terrier mix, maybe like 15 pounds. Friday's cool as shit. Well, Friday also is a resource guarder, and her parents have 2 beagles. So I guess it was the second time Friday had attacked the beagles because some food fell on the ground. And they got into it, beagles got hurt. Parents are like, you need to figure something out, right? She called me. I know how much she loves this dog, right? And she's been going through some stuff. And she's like, hey, is it possible to where she won't just go after them when food hits the ground and she doesn't immediately go attack the other dogs? I told her, yeah, that's possible. But I said, hey, no, kind of where you were at in life last time. How much time do you have to put towards this? Like, how dedicated can you be to this training and following through on this? She was ready to come bring the dog to me. Like, she was about to drive 4 hours, come drop the dog off with me. And I said, hey, like, if you don't have the time to follow up to this degree or watch it this way and still know it can still happen. Like, this is a management plan with enough reps. We can see long-term success. And she had to be honest with herself. She was like, you know what? I really don't have the time. She said, I just can't right now with where I'm at. And the next day we talked about it for a little bit longer, and she put the dog up as available on Facebook and found a new home for her. And again, I know it's kind of a cop-out because not necessarily a dog that we couldn't train, but it was one that there needs to be an understanding. As the owner, I'm getting this dog to initiate a few new behaviors and start to mold the way it thinks and change a couple of things. The owners of the dog, it is your job to continue the training and generalize it and kind of branch out and just really proof that behavior. And if you don't have the time, you have to have that hard conversation. Maybe this isn't the best fit. Maybe I need to figure something else out for this dog. Do I need to clear my schedule so I can do the training? But if you don't put in the effort, especially with a dog that has issues, it's not going to get done. Just unfortunately, it's how it is.
There's a lot we could talk about with that. Like there's things that go through my head as you were talking. I'm like, one, good for her. Number one, that she was able to find a suitable home rather than drag this dog and limp through her lifestyle and like kind of putting her projections on the dog, and everything. Because that's a hard, I mean, it's got to be a hard one. I've never had to do it, but it's got to be a tough one to kind of disassociate yourself from the dog and say, all right, take myself out of this. What lifestyle can I provide for this dog? And it's just not it. And I can't, whatever her circumstances were that the dog could be brought to you and trained. If that option is eliminated, then, what do you do? But as you were talking about that too, I was thinking about like projecting ourselves, and I'm constantly, dude, it's just a never ending circle. So then now I went back to Joker, and I'm like, maybe that's kind of where I went wrong as well. Like a little bit of what is it called? Anthropomorphism, I think.
Yeah.
Strong word. But I think I exercised some of that because I was in a new mind frame at the time where he met me at a time where I was trying different modalities of training besides just cranking and yanking, that to the point where, and this is kind of where it tailors back, like too much of an extreme of anything is just too much. In life and dog training and whatever, everything in moderation and balance. So as best as possible. So I think that's where I kind of failed him. I was just so lenient and so reluctant to punish.
Yeah.
That, and of course I'm thinking that he understands that, like, hey dude, I'm trying to be lenient. I'm trying to, and that's where I say I kind of projected onto him a little bit. But, and like he has no ability no reality to even know that I've trained, 50 other dogs in crank and yank style methods, and I'm just, trying something new and more inducive. Yeah, with you. And he's like, dude, that means nothing. But yeah, so it's easy to get wrapped up in that. And man, that sucks.
Yeah, it's tough, man. I just had to do with Apex. Like,
yeah.
Ultimately, for him to have the best life that he could live. My German Shepherd I've had since 8 weeks. Love the dog to death, but he wasn't getting. I needed a dog that I could work, right? Whether that's sport on the street, and I've got my Tibetan Mastiff. That's my wife's dog, and I can only have so many dogs, right? And he kind of was getting put on the back burner. And because of that, he was getting into stuff, or like I try and take him running once or twice a week, but I wasn't really giving him any time or attention. And my great aunt, her husband did Schutzen. He was familiar with dogs. They had their German Shepherd passed away. They were looking for another one. They wanted something older that could go run out on their new property and travel with them. And a one dog household with no kids, no grandkids. And I was like, this is too good of a home for him. Like, selfishly, do I want to keep him? Yes. But it was too good of a home to pass up. Like, and I still get to go see him. I still get to go spend time with him. So I was like, you know what? This is the best thing to do. So I ended up giving my German Shepherd up. And I think I told you I was looking like I was fucking crazy because I was looking at this fucking Mal puppy just going absolute ape shit in the kennel. And then Apex is just calm, laying down in the distance, watching me relax. I'm like, what am I doing? I'm getting rid of the calm dog to keep this living tornado. But ultimately, I just knew it was the right decision for him. It's tough. Like, that's a hard call to make. But I made the call because I wanted the dog to have the best life and lifestyle. And again, I will get to go see him. I can go hang out with him when I want to. So that's a hard call as an owner. Like, we are emotionally invested and attached to these dogs. But at the same time, I think the dog's needs should trump, or their wants or their well-being should trump what we want.
Yeah, it's definitely easier said than done. All right, I don't want to end on such a downside of it's like, oh, we're losing dogs and stuff. Where you brought up Yama, your Tibetan Mastiff, I was thinking about I was like, yeah, you can't take them on the street with you, and then you can't do PSA. And then I thought about that time where you guys were doing some bite stuff with them. And y'all put him on a suit for the first time. I remember we were all like, all right, everybody get behind the couch and all this stuff, like, clear the room, give him space to do this. And we were like, yeah, we don't know what he'll do, with the guy in a suit. You had your decoy ready and everything. And then, and I remember right before he went up to bite, I was like, how are they going to get him off of him?
Bro, as soon as he bit, we were like, he did it. And then we were like, oh, fuck. Oh, shit, how we... Well, wait him out. They ended up choking him off.
Yeah.
Fucking Yama, man. He's sitting in here right now. I call him my living bearskin rug because he has not moved this entire podcast.
No, I love Yama. I was scared when I watched him for like the 2 or 3 weeks or whatever. No, he's a cool dog. Like I always said,
Yama's cool.
We need to clone him. Yeah, I want him.
Yeah.
And then, all right, I think that'll do it.
Yeah, we can wrap it up there.
Okay, we can wrap it up here. Let's see. If you like what you heard and want to support us, definitely follow and then tell other people to listen to this podcast. That's probably the biggest way to support us right now as far as what we're doing. Let's see. Follow us on Working Dogs and Whiskey. We're on Instagram, so you can find us there. YouTube, all the good stuff. So if you're listening on Spotify, I think that's where we're predominantly on, and they have an excuse and say, hey, I can't find this podcast or I don't have it, tell them to find us on Apple Podcasts or YouTube. So no excuses. Right?
Damn right.
And then if they don't follow us, then they're not really your friend. It's easy. It's pretty easy. All right, John, how do they find you?
Jonathan Moses K9 on everything.
There we go. Too easy. And then for me, I'm Sean White on Instagram. So letter K number 9. And then, that's pretty much it. I think we've covered. Oh, we have a Facebook group.
Yes.
Yeah, I've been slacking on it. So for anybody that cares, but I've been trying to do more of like meaningful, intentional stuff. So instead of posting for the sake of just putting stuff out there, I'm like, let me actually come up with like questions that really mean something to me. So I'm making a list of questions that come up. That way I can put it out there. So it'll be back consistent probably for like another 2 or 3 months and then it'll die down again. No one knows.
Yeah.
But in between when the waves are up, enjoy it. And comment.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
End of the year rally's coming, baby.
Oh, God. Yeah. We'll try to crank out as many episodes as we can for some reason.
Yeah.
December. Totally self-inflicted, but actually this year wasn't. I feel like we were pretty proactive for the most part.
Yeah, we did pretty good. We got a lot done in between, like not recording episodes.
Yeah, we invested in ourselves.
We did.
Yeah. All right. Yeah. All right. That'll do it for episode 30 of Working Dogs and Whiskey.
30.
Number 30. All right.